Ladies and gentlemen, my name is TotalBiscuit here with a quick vlog. I am back from Vegas, which means that no, we will not be throwing a bunch of planetside footage at you. So I decided to put my planetside footage in the background instead. This is the mini chain gun, one of the brand new weapons. It's really quite the beast. Okay, so let's talk about what's been happening and what's going to be happening. So schedule for November is quite busy, and I know this is bad news for a lot of you. This is the really awkward thing about doing events. Like, events, one, they pay very well, most of the time. StarCraft kinda doesn't. StarCraft casting and event commentary for me has forever been this kind of passion project, and while it does pay money, it never pays enough to cover the loss from the channel, and it's a really awkward thing to make the decision about. I've turned down a lot of StarCraft 2 because I feel that it hurts the main channel and most of my viewers are there, so I have something of a responsibility to keep them interested. So that can be a problem. But on the other side of things, what a lot of people don't realize is the number of other gigs and other opportunities that you can get when you regularly cast these big events, because you end up running into people that have the potential to get you into things that we wouldn't otherwise have. So a lot of what you see on the channel now, certainly over the last 6 months, has actually been as a result of things that we've been doing at live events and the amount of attention we've managed to attract that way. The second advantage, of course, is that it's an opportunity to get out there and actually talk directly to the people that watch the channel, and that is a rare treat for me. I think that that's one of the best parts of the job. So you can see why I go out to a lot of events. And of course, hey, it's StarCraft. I love casting StarCraft, and it's a big thing for me, and I wouldn't want to see it leave my life anytime soon. So that's probably going to be bad news for a lot of you, but there's a couple of things that I want to say about that. Firstly, I'll be traveling out on the 1st of November. That's going to be my flight time, and that's for MLG Dallas, which is from the Friday, that being the 2nd, all the way through to the Sunday, that being the 4th. Now, I'm not flying back at that point. I'm actually staying in Texas for an extra week. Now, this sounds like a disaster. Oh no, there won't be any videos. The sky is falling. We're going to get another week of Shoot Mania or PlanetSide. No, you won't. So, I only agreed to do the next gig, this being Lone Star Clash Dallas, which starts on the 10th of November, on the condition that I had a place to work. Now, what they're doing is they're housing me in an area in the university that has a full editing rig, yeah, so something as meaty as the computer that I've got at home, and a really fast internet connection. So what that means is I'll basically have a week where I can produce content just like I would at home. I'll bring all my gear out there, and I'll also have access to a bunch of pro gamers who are going to be in the nearby pro gaming house that they're setting up for a week. So what's going to happen is a lot of these MLG players will stay over in Texas. They'll go to Austin because, of course, MLG is in Dallas. Austin is, well, not in Dallas. And they are going to stick around, practice for a week. I'll have access to them, which means there might be some very unique and interesting content coming out with so many pro gamers around the place. But a lot of my regular stuff will continue as expected. So in reality, it's just those 3 or 4 days on that weekend, which I can very easily pre-prepare content for. Then another week of regular content with Lone Star Clash on the 10th all the way through to the 11th, and then I'll travel home on the 12th. So in reality, that month shouldn't be too bad at all, and you might see some very interesting content, and it won't necessarily be StarCraft related either. So those who enjoy my StarCraft, you'll get casts, and those who don't enjoy my StarCraft, well, you're going to get other stuff as well. So there's no way I would have ever agreed to do both events in that case, because it would have been too much. I hate flying. Everyone knows I hate flying. It takes a lot out of me. It's a very stressful experience. I just despise it. I wish I was more rational about it, you know? I just think the worst all the time. I'm very pessimistic when it comes to getting on a plane. One way or the other, I shouldn't really expect that to interrupt things. So let me tell you a little bit about my workflow, and then maybe you can understand why the last few days were the way they were. So I can pre-prepare some content whenever I leave, and there were times when that worked out quite nicely. The last trip to San Francisco, where I was doing a lot of the End of Nation stuff and a few other things, that was pretty much covered by WTF Is the entire time, and I was able to produce quite a large number of those. Now, as to how many I'm able to produce really depends upon a number of different factors, one of which being, do I have enough games to do that actually make sense? I do get a lot of games that I just don't do WTF Is of, a lot of them being puzzle games. Like, if it's a pure puzzle game, chances are I'll be so bad at it that I don't even want to show it, because there's a level of incompetence, I think, that actually negatively affects the viewing experience. And it's not just a case of, oh, derpy derp, that was a bit silly, wasn't it? It's like, my brain does not function here. There have been a number of games where that's happened, and I've just said, you know, I cannot show your game in this state. I just can't do it. And it also comes down to whether or not I can just get in the right frame of mind. There are times when I just have to abort these videos because I make so many mistakes and my head's just not in it. And that often happens when I'm doing a large number of videos in a small amount of time. Getting a week's worth or more of content done before I leave for an event is nigh on impossible. Like, I can't do stuff like Mailbox. Mailbox is massively time consuming. WTF is the shortest form content that I do, along with Terraria. Even Terraria takes quite a lot of work because of the editing, the sync work, and everything that I've got to do to the 2 audio files and the 2 video files, as well as getting the cuts and everything right. That's actually surprisingly finicky to put together, even though it's just a live recording of gameplay. So WTF is the most efficient content to put out because the most people watch it, and it is probably the easiest thing to do, assuming I am in the right frame of mind. Sometimes I'm not, though, and as a result, it just flat out does not work. Now, that's what I was hoping to do before I left for Vegas, but that didn't really pan out, and it was mostly due to Deadliest War. I think if Deadliest War hadn't been made, then I would have got a lot more videos done prior to leaving. It wasn't really that big a deal anyway, because I wanted to cover the time that I was working in Vegas, doing the SOE Live stuff, and that was successfully covered by content that I created. I wasn't really interested in covering the time I was going to spend with my wife as our 5-year wedding anniversary, but unfortunately, it seemed that we needed to do that. So what we did was we put together a few of the highlights, just some nice chunky clips from the SOE live stream, which was of the Planetside Araxian Challenge, whereby people were trying to get as many kills as possible for $10,000. So it's a fairly reasonable amount of money. And I thought the stream quality was pretty good. The mic quality was pretty good. It was fairly well produced, and we got some fairly awesome gameplay, including stuff like that 33 kill streak and things like that. Some people didn't see it that way. I think maybe some people are just a little bit gun-shy of a repeat of the Shoot Mania incident, whereby it was pretty much a week of nothing but Shoot Mania because I was away from the computer for a month on the West Coast for all the different events. Yeah, I can understand why people would be freaked out that that was happening, but as I said, I didn't want to repeat that, so I don't honestly think that that's too big a deal. I think the content was of reasonable quality. I think the stream could have been better, certainly. It was definitely artifacted. What you got to understand about live stream stuff is that it will never look as good as things that you create on your machine, just because the compression is much, much higher in order to actually stream it correctly. So I would definitely say that visual quality was not up to my usual standard, although it was still definitely watchable. And audio quality was pretty good. I thought the commentary was pretty good as well. I think we had a nice dynamic going, and we were able to share a lot of cool information and show some nice gameplay as well. Some people didn't like it, and I don't think I'm really required to apologize for that. Because honestly, when it came down to those videos, it's pretty much the same thing I do for WTF is anyway. I always find it very odd that some people have a very violent reaction to what appears to be esports commentary on the channel versus WTF is, which is like, well, hang on, they're both first-person live gameplay commentated by me. What's the difference? Can you explain it? I really can't. But I think when it comes down to that, you've always got to take into consideration what people say. And I think the whole don't like it, don't watch it is a fairly immature way of looking at things, but there is certainly a bit of truth involved in it. That's not the be-all, end-all of retorts, as much as some people would like to claim otherwise. You can't just say, oh, don't like it, don't watch it, because there may be some kind of valid criticism going on there. I think there's definitely validity in saying that the visual quality was subpar for my normal stuff. I accept that. That's definitely the case. I don't think the audio quality really was. Like, it was fairly similar, honestly. And I feel the content was good content. The problem is, of course, it was of the same game over and over again, so there's only, I suppose, so much that you can really get out of that. And it's also the reason why I've been holding back on a lot of Planetside content lately, because you end up showing the same thing over and over again, and people just have a tendency of getting bored of that. One way or the other, though, I think that, you know, it's fine if people don't enjoy that kind of content and they say so. My problem is when people say, oh, you know, it's clearly worse than the stuff that you usually make, when actually it's really not. Like, factually, it isn't. And we always get mixed messages when people give that kind of feedback, because what they have a tendency of doing is they give the feedback in the form of, oh, well, you know, this is not up to your usual standard, but if you scrape away the varnish, it's very clear that what's actually underlying that is not that it's not up to the usual standard. It's not up to the standard of content that I want to watch. And that's fair, but this is also a variety gaming channel, so you're gonna see some different stuff every now and again. Most of it will not come from live streams. Like, if I do a live stream LP of FTL or XCOM or whatever, I'm not gonna put that on the channel, because it's not gonna be as good as something that I produced in post properly and with some actual editing applied to it. But when it comes to live events and commentary stuff, then yes, I will put it on the channel, because I think live events are a very special thing, and you can get a lot of spontaneity and a lot of really cool stuff happen at them. Anyway, that kind of explains the position that I'm in right there, and it also lets you know what's going to be happening over the next few weeks. I wouldn't expect too much interruption in content. One thing I will say, though, is that there have been murmurings, and those who follow my Twitter will be aware of this or read the subreddit. Mailbox is coming to an end. We're currently on episode 198. I'm going to wrap it up on episode 200, probably with a really big bumper episode. And this is basically because I feel the format has been exhausted, and what we're getting now is a lot of repeat questions. It's really hard to tell people to just go back and watch the other mailboxes, because I don't even remember when I answered a lot of these questions, but I have answered over 500 questions over the course of the mailbox lifespan. You know, we've had a pretty good run, and you do get a lot of repetition. Also, I'm noticing an awful lot of people going down the same kind of route when it comes to the questions, like, hey, this really obvious anti-consumer thing happened. What's your opinion on this really obvious anti-consumer thing? Isn't it so anti-consumer? It's like, yes, yeah, we get it. You know, you want to rant? Well, Mailbox was never really about that. You know, that was Blue Please years ago, and most of that shouldn't have been taken seriously anyway, but yeah, I'm bringing the show to a close, and I'm coming up with something new. And this is what I'm going to do. And we're still in the process of naming this, but it's going to happen anyway. So, going to do a new show, because I think that it is really valuable for people to be informed in an easy and hopefully to the point kind of way. It's going to be nicely, professionally produced. It's going to look really, really nice. Going to have a lot of gameplay footage, as well as screenshots, concept art, and relevant stuff in the background. I've got a big framework made, so we're going to have strap lines. There's also going to be a point-by-point breakdown of the story on the screen at the same time as I'm talking about it. It will contain my opinion, so you can expect quite a bit of that. It will be news and comment. It's not just going to be, I read the news. No, it's going to be, I read the news, and then I give you my opinion on it. So it's going to provide the same kind of information that you get from a mailbox, but in a more focused and useful way. And I'm also going to have an interactive element there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the mailbox on its head. I'm going to ask you the question, and you're going to be the guys that answer it. And the best answers will be featured at the end of every show, and that's going to be done in YouTube comments. And you might think, oh, well, why would you do it in YouTube comments? Because I think it's about time that we retake ownership of the comments section. I think it's gotten to the point where a lot of our really good viewers, and this is evident by the numbers. You just look at it. We're over 800,000 subscribers. Our average video gets a minimum of 100,000 views, and yet we get maybe 1,000 comments, sometimes even less than that. Ergo, the people posting in the comment section are a very small vocal minority. That is a mathematical fact. And I feel that a lot of the really good viewers have been scared off of that comment section because of all the negativity, because of all the BS. And you know what? I do not blame them one little bit. So I want to take that comment section back. I want to allow good discussion to flourish once again, and I feel this is one of the best ways to do it. The really good comments will be rewarded by being given the spotlight. They'll be center stage on the next show. So that encourages good discussion, good debate. So I feel that that's a good way of doing things. As for the name of the show, I have no idea what it is yet. As for those saying, oh, well, this conflicts with Dodger's show, not really. I would say this is going to be a more to the point, more focused, and perhaps even more professional looking show. That doesn't mean the Dodger's show is bad. It just means the Dodger's show is different. You know, that show is very much a kind of casual, laid back vlog which talks about the news. And I think that's a really cool, chill show to watch. Sometimes I watch it because there are times when I just don't want to take video games so seriously, so I'll listen to someone that is more laid back and relaxed about it. But when it comes to this show, we'll be going point by point. We'll be getting the information out there, hopefully in a very concise way. I expect to maybe talk 10 minutes a day about the news, and then maybe focus on user discussion for the last 5. So it'll be about the same length as the mailbox, but it's going to be more focused. And I think this is the best possible format for the channel going forward, so I'm hoping that this will turn out pretty well. Alright folks, that pretty much wraps up what I have to say to you. Thank you very much once again for watching. Expect regular content to resume tomorrow. I am currently making it. You know, I make my stuff a day in advance. I can't upload it and encode it on the same day. It's just crazy. It's not possible to make that happen, and it would vastly interfere with my workload if I even tried. So the 26th of October, we'll be starting regular content once again. and hopefully you will have a little bit of fun with that. And once again, sorry for the last few days of content if you weren't into the PlanetSide stuff. I know that you've been essentially starved of it, but we will get back on schedule pretty much right about now. So thank you very much, and I shall see you next time.